Nicola and Ben and Sam, and here we are. It's the website one meeting. It's a Monday, and here we are. I don't know if Bill will be. He says he's already there.
Hmm.
No, I think you are in the old link, which was the Scrum, which finished. I was hoping you might join that.
What about Aaron? Aaron?
A chat, but we are now in a new room.
What's that?
Anyway, so with that, I guess I wonder if Bill is around. We will see. Here we go. Anyway, so Aaron is the premium face-to-face member and who's been doing some work with me, but he's yet to attend one of these meetings. So anyway, let's start off by doing the thing that we often do, which is grabbing a digital. That's the wrong thing. Grabbing a digital bit of technology here, and here we go. So we've got this website one. Let's just go. So Ben and I, we just met in the Scrum, and Ben, we know on website one, you've got this kind of complex acceptance testing. Oh, Bill. Hey, Bill.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Bill. How you doing?
All right. Very well, thanks.
Stuff. Good to see you. This is with JavaScript and timing and time. We need a doctor. We need Doctor Who to come in and sort this out for us. And Aaron is here. Aaron, hey Aaron, how you doing?
Hey guys, how's it going?
All right.
Right, great to see Aaron here. We're just going around checking in with what people are sort of doing or stuff on it. Ben has got this kind of complex acceptance testing issue on his sort of pull request that he's working on. Nicola, how are things going with you? Anything getting stuck?
No, I don't have any blockers, but I need to pick another gem to upgrade in order to get closer to Rails 5 upgrade. Yeah.
Okay, gem to upgrade. Interesting. Yeah, and I guess you're thinking there that we can kind of make the Rails 5 upgrade easier if all of the other individual gems are upgraded. I think that's probably true, although I would say that...
For example, Factory Girl, we have to remove it, and we have to start using Factory Bot.
Okay, or is that actually a blocker?
Well, we have to change like a lot of files.
Okay.
That change is going to take like... Yeah, it's going to touch all the tests mostly, yeah.
Yeah, so I think those individual things, individual upgrades are great, but the big blocker that we have, of course, is the Mercury engine.
Yes.
So anyway, it's entirely up to you which element you're focusing on in what order. Yeah, but if you need help, like there was that thing where we were trying to get it over to Medium. That's the Medium editor. That's something I'd very happy to help you with.
Okay.
Right, and well, let's go on to Bill. Bill, how are things going with you?
Oh, very well. I was looking at that Google OmniOff update. I don't think it's going to be possible without changing the whole thing.
Right.
Because I was looking at the device documents and other OmniOff documents, and they all talk about using devices OmniOff module, which case extend a device controller and move your login actions into there, which means having to move GitHub as well.
Interesting.
At the moment, at the moment, from what I can see, it seems to be I'm not sure what document it was based on, but it seems to be more of a custom setup.
Right.
But with switching to device and OmniOff and Google OmniOff, if you're going to use a device, there's the OmniOff module within there, specific docs, which takes you through how to set it up. But it basically means changing a hell of a lot.
Okay.
At first, I thought you could just
swap it over,
switch it in, and just change a few lines here and there. But it seems to be a lot harder than that.
Right.
Yeah, a lot more complicated.
I believe you. Yeah. Now, and of course, we were there wasn't necessarily a win that we would get from that changeover. We were just thinking, oh yes, the newer it was more supported. So
yeah.
So it's just like, I guess if so the upshot there is, like, if we want to use the newer, better supported OmniAuth, is it G Plus or Google?
No, it's OmniAuth Google.
Yeah. Then we would need to make a bigger.
I mean, it might be a way of. I'm sure there probably is. I'm sure of rewriting what is currently there to use it. But I mean, I don't understand it.
No, well, and as I say, I think you're probably right that it is a custom setup.
The device documents go through how to set it up using third parties and their OmniAuth module with GitHub and Facebook and Google. And it's exactly what the Odin project did. They basically used their documents, basically followed that route, and they've customized it somewhat.
Yes, so we have to think about what the best direction is there. Okay, great research. On my side, I guess the main things, I deployed the new, what is this? This is the new premium subscription data model. And so that's up, and I'm trying to, like, then, the follow-up step is clear up the data. Then
was that related to upgrading and things like that? Was that?
Yeah, it was basically that we had a sort of a has-one relationship, and so that didn't accurately reflect the people that the people sometimes start on one premium, like they start on premium mob and then they upgrade to premium face-to-face, and then after all they go back down to premium mob and so on, that it changes over time. So we now have like a has-many relationship, so you can kind of see the timescales that people are on the different subscription levels. So that's a step in the right direction, although clearing up the data is going to take a while. I did also start with Marion on the private event functionality. So I'm pleased to get started on that, although I think it'll take a while to get it all done, but you have to start somewhere. And then, Aaron, you and I were looking at, now what was the feature that we were looking at together?
I don't see him here anymore.
I think
there
Aaron,
he is.
Yeah, Aaron is there. But maybe he's... Hey, Aaron, you all right?
We were looking at that once you click on the karma points.
Oh, that's right. It's the karma point activity tab feature. Yes. And we paired on that last week, didn't we? And I think we saw how we could make it work. How's that going?
Yeah, it's going.
I know you've been. Well, I guess the thing we're gonna do is maybe look at how to test it, but we haven't maybe got that far. Yeah, I was going to remind myself. Yeah, so you can see like the way things are going. So this is the PR that I started with Marion on the private events. This is one of the gem upgrades that Nicola's working on there. This is Ben's. Oh yeah, here we go. We've got that. This is the activity tab one. Yeah, with the code there. Okay, cool. So that's sort of our kind of website one, sort of what everybody's on. I guess we've got a kind of a clear. It's sort of a block for Ben. And Ben is fighting the good fight, working on this kind of acceptance testing stuff. We could certainly have a bit of a chat about that. Bill is blocked there in what he was working on. Would potentially require quite, it turns out to be a bigger job than we imagined. The other thing that we can do in the meeting is vote on tickets if people are, if there are particular features that they would like to see in the site, or they, want new things to work on. Let's just go quickly to the waffle. Does anybody have any, features or bugs or anything at all that they particularly want to get voted on? Go on, Nicola.
I've been looking the website, website one, and there is a little difference between some users when you enter to their profile. Some of them, they have activity, an activity tab, and others have the projects. Why is that?
Yes, well, that's actually a very perceptive question, Nicola. I think, and so I actually got to the bottom, Aaron. I think we were trying to do a cucumber test on this. So the thing that Aaron and I have been looking at is, it relates to this question that Nicola has, is that when you go into somebody's profile,
Yep.
Is that we see that there are a set of different tabs here. The thing that Aaron and I have been working on is making it so that when you click on this, that it highlights the activity tab to try and just make it a bit clearer that this is how the number is calculated. But yeah, if we go to look at some different items.
Example here, I share my link.
Yeah, well, if we go to like a newly created user, we've got over 7,000 now, and we jump in there, we see that we end up with, like, for example, they only have this. Okay. And I think actually this was what was preventing the cucumber test that we were working on, Aaron. Is that, and I think I've just upgraded RubyMine, so we'll try and go into the code.
No problem.
It works. Actually, no, I too. I've got Subble running. I've got Sublime. That's probably easier than going with RubyMine. But yeah, so the thing that's happening here is that in the user view, which tab is allowed to appear is a function of various things. So if I can just work this out, what have we got? Is that the so this is the main user's show page, and then we've got the summary is the thing at the side where it has things like the hire me and this and the other, and then we've got the detail. And so here you can see this at the top here. This is the particular thing. So if we've got this thing, if the individual has joined some projects, so we've got this feature in the system which allows you to, when you're on a project page, indicate that you are joining it. I mean, I think it's very unclear what that means. I think it's a bit of a usability nightmare. But so until you kind of go and find a project and click and say, I'm joining this, then your like projects tab doesn't appear, if that makes sense. And then so similarly, we've got this like contributor until you have made a GitHub commit on a project that you have joined, this tab doesn't appear. And until you fill in your user skills when you're in edit mode, this tab doesn't appear. So go on.
I don't have the activity tab.
Right, and that may be that maybe because you haven't joined any projects in the so it's kind of a funny. I mean, to me, from a usability point of view, rather than hiding these things, these should always be present. And if you haven't got any skills, it should then have an instruction saying how you can add some skills. It should have, I think it's just a usability disaster in some way.
No. I'm starting to understand.
But yeah, no. Once you, I mean, that's the thing, is that once you understand how it works, then that's fine. The difficulty, of course, is we've got lots and lots of new people coming in all the time who don't understand, and it's not self-evident. But so in principle, so you've got like for a given project, and here's one that someone's added recently that I don't know. I tried to click on that there, and so here. There's this sort of join project thing that can, and I will go ahead and join it there, that then will add you to this member list, which is unfortunately So having done, so for example, Nicola, you could go to some of the projects that you're involved in, like Website One and Local Support, click Join Project. Then when you navigate to your account page, I think you will miraculously see the projects tab appear, and probably if you've got commits in those projects, which you almost certainly have, you'll see the activity tab appear. But once we've got like a background job that runs and queries GitHub to get the latest data, so you might not see the activity tab for a day or so.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah, and so I think when we so Aaron, you and I were working on a test there, and it was supposed to be checking like that was switching to the activity tab. I think for the test user that we'd set up, he wasn't excuse me, he didn't belong to any projects, and so that was why it was failing. Excuse me. Yeah, so lots of. I mean, I think that the clear action item there would be in the code. That makes sense. What I'm saying is that if we removed these if clauses, and then in the in here is basically if there were no skills, we should display a message to the user saying, here's how you can add some skills. And if there were no projects, we would display a message saying, oh, you haven't joined any projects, browse this list.
And join the,
it's like to basically make the user aware of how they can, do these sorts of things. Anyway, so that was an interesting little aside.
I'm
checking
the projects that like local support and website one, and it appears that I'm already showing there because it gives me the option saying lead project.
Oh, okay. So then potentially there's, I mean, there's the situation may be more complex than that. Like we'll have to, go, I think I probably can't debug that now, but so we could, what we could do.
No worries. I'm just telling you just to be aware. That maybe
absolutely. Well, maybe can you create an issue to indicate that, with screenshots and stuff. I mean, I'm tempted to almost immediately create the issue there to indicate, so have missing tabs show users how to add themselves to projects, add skills, etc. We've got the tabs on user page. And
I will put my screenshots there.
In many cases, would be great to show them and offer advice about how to get connected. There's some more data that could go in there. All right. But so I was going to go to the waffle board there. I don't think we've got anything new stuff ready to merge in. But yeah, so did anybody, thank you, Nicola, for that, raising that point. That's definitely but I mean, we need to make the system more consistent and easier to use. Does anybody else have any things that they'd like to get voted on at all, or any other bugs that they found with the system they'd like to raise?
I don't think so. Did we talk about? I mean, because relevant to the stuff I've been looking at, we talked about the idea of adding something into the database so that countdowns worked on the front page again.
Yeah, so that would be a reworking. I mean, that's so a big change that we made last week now is that, so while we can see we have a countdown there on other pages, on the home page where we have like tens of thousands of users hitting it, we've adjusted it so it doesn't give a countdown, and that does seem to have improved our performance profile. We still did occasionally get some timeout. You can see there in the waffle board, you can see that we got a couple of airbrake errors about requests timing out, although I think, were these actually related to, these are still web requests, are they? Yeah, but we've had many fewer than before, so it seems like it's an improvement. It's still not fixed though. The bigger performance fix through the site would be not just on the home page but on every page if we want to display the countdown, and I guess it's moved. Yeah, so we've ended up there with this performance issue, and that's it's closed it out. So we certainly could create a new ticket there, and of course Waffle just doing this. So this is this would be like refactor events framework. So this would be improve performance by storing horizon of event data in the database, up to 6 weeks, and recalculating on edit, not on view. I think that is potentially quite a big chunky task, but we certainly could vote on that if people wanted to. But so if we don't have other things to vote on, I think that the remaining two things to work out are, helping Bill and helping Ben. And of course, not everybody has to stay around for all of those things. I think that's our organization. I guess what I'm tempted to say to Bill is, it feels like switching to OmniAuth Google, may not be the priority. I mean, if you were excited to do you were saying, oh, this is a really juicy overhaul that I want to get my teeth into, I'd say, yes, let's help you do it. But I also totally understand if it's like, you kind of feel like, okay, this is too big a task to take on right now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. Would you prefer to find a simpler ticket to work on?
I mean, at the moment, I'm still working on I was building a demo app.
I was going to ask. Yeah, you said you were going to do a demo app, and right. So that's fantastic.
Devise, and I've got Pizzagate to do authorization. It uses GitHub. Sorry, not GitHub. It uses Google Auth. Those gems. It doesn't. I've not added GitHub to it. Any problem I have is that on the website one, it looks so complicated. I'm not sure where to start without breaking it all. I can rebuild it.
Yeah.
Working using all 2 or 3 or 4 different third-party authorizations. Using those gems, that's not a problem.
Right.
Trying to somehow redo website one, it looks overly complicated the way it's set up.
Yeah. Oh, I very much believe that it is overly complicated. Now that's something that maybe we haven't ever done a pairing session together, have we, Bill?
Not regarding this, no.
Or no, I mean, you and I, we've been in various mobs, but we've never done a.
No.
No. So you could we could maybe, I could give you access to the calendar, and you could book a hour slot with me, and we could look at that together.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll finish the demo first then.
Oh, totally.
Using Google and GitHub.
Yeah. I think that's a wonderful learning approach, is to build a sort of a separate standalone working demo where all of the bits that have gone into it, get the sort of model clear in your mind, and then I've got at least I don't pretend to know exactly how the website one system works because it was built before I became project manager. I've hacked at it to fix things over the years, but yes, but I've got that understanding on it. So, but then potentially we could have a look at it together, and probably not like fix it in that pairing session, but we could kind of maybe find, is there a sensible way in that would allow,
No, that sounds good.
Yeah, cool.
Well, one question, and website one, I've not been able. What authentication is Devise, but what for authorization? Is that a gem? Because I couldn't see anything, or is it just Devise roles?
I think it's just Devise. Yeah,
Oh.
I don't. Yeah, there's no can or anything in there.
Yeah. I was looking for can or PT.
No. I mean that's something that we may want to add in future, but it doesn't. It's very flat at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, the thing I'm working with Marion will start to introduce the concept of different groups of users who have different permissions.
All right.
So yeah, all that exciting stuff to come. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's. So that's that one. Go on. Somebody was going to.
No.
Oh, but I was going to come next to Ben. So I guess, and this is going to get quite technical. So I would say, like, people are interested in this particular issue that Ben is wrestling with, do stick around, but don't feel that you have to stay. If you've got like, oh no, right, we're going to make supper or breakfast or whatever it happens to be, this could get sticky. And I guess before we dive into that, does anybody else have any other questions or things that they need sorting out before, in order to carry on working on website one this week?
Nope.
All right. Yeah, so let's dive into Ben's thing, and he was talking about that in the Scrum. And so this is very specifically to do with let's go to a different page. We should be able to see, it's this. So we've got this JavaScript timer that counts down here on every page other than the home page, and tells us when the next event is going to be. And the particular bug that, or sort of improvement that Ben is working on, is that when this gets down to 0 and then says the event is live, at the moment, unless the user refreshes the page, it will basically just sit there saying the event is live forever. And the idea, isn't it, Ben, that we will have it so that it will know the duration of the event, and then once the duration of the event has finished, it will say event ended.
Yeah. So, you know, I imagine that every time it tries to update the time, it should test whether or not it's over, and if it is, just say that. I think that that's a pretty straightforward thing to do. I think it's
yeah.
I thought it wouldn't take that long. I thought it would be like, oh, it's just a simple little thing. But what I'm mired in, which may or may not make sense, is setting up an
acceptance test.
Yeah, acceptance test for the behavior that it already exhibits.
Yes.
So that's which has been it's been interesting because I've kind of learned how it worked. But the idea is you have to mock time for the Rails application in order to make sure to get all of the to make sure that it knows what's coming up, and then for the JavaScript application in order to actually know how to update the timer. And so that's a copy-borrow thing where you have to do both. You have to mock the timers on both systems at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's been tricky. And I don't, there are various ways online that people have done it and stuff, but I've had there are a couple of questions I think that might have easy answers to it by people who are a little bit more familiar with how the system works. The first is the idea that you have to let's see.
Well, I guess before you dive into those details there, Ben, I guess the thing, it feels somewhat like this is one of these things where it could be a big time sink trying to get the acceptance tests working. And I've been a big stickler for we should get acceptance tests working come what may in the past. And I'm starting to come around to, there seems to be this deeply ironic thing that very often it takes X amount of time to actually just make something work. And then particularly if Capybara and JavaScript are involved, particularly if there's then timing and this, that, and the other, it takes 10x or 20x or even 100x to get, a robust, or even to get an acceptance test working. And then the acceptance test will turn out to be kind of flaky and will serve to be a drag on the rest of the project. And it's just sort of a particularly tricky situation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And the one thing I thought about that was this. I thought, well, you might not be worth actually doing this for just this one feature, but it might actually pay dividends later on when there's similar stuff that has to be done and the problem has been solved. But that may or may not be the case. Well, that's a thing I kind of wanted to ask, actually.
Right. Yes. Well, I think it's one of those things where, from an academic point of view, there's me failing to start the new version of RubyMine, but from an academic point of view, it would be like, yes, if we had a robust and reliable way of checking for these kind of things, that would mean that we didn't have to manually check that it's still working in the way that we expect. That could be extremely valuable. I guess what I would be tempted in the kind of project that we're in is if we can get out the feature that improves the experience for the user, is kind of do that first so that it's not blocked by the kind of potentially long running. Do you know what I mean? It's I mean, we did do kind of quite a lot of testing and Michael and I spent a lot of time on acceptance testing related to how the events display for users in different time zones. And I seem to recall in that context that for Capybara, we're completely unable to set the sort of the headless browser to operate in a different time zone. It was
so you eventually didn't.
Well, what we eventually ended up doing is that we basically checked that the appropriate. So this is, for example, here. Like for me, I happen to be in UTC, and it's just setting it there. But if you folks look at this page, you'll see a different. Well, apart from Bill, but you'll see a different time zone for this. And we use some sort of JavaScript library that runs in the page to update. It sort of detects the time zone that the user's browser is operating in, and then rewrites the date. But what the on the server side, it just delivers some you know, the HTML comes over the wire, and it has kind of like a gosh, I don't find the silly thing. So this is a show page for events. He said, what we got? Events, show. There we go. Events, event actions, event description. Where have we got the time thing in it? Control F, time. Yeah, so we're using this, I think, local time thing here. So what that just generates, like an if we, I wonder if we can see it if we look at the so if we go and look at this and we inspect it in the browser and we have a quick look at that, see, it's now got there. Yeah, it's like this tag, this HTML tag, the time one, basically gets taken over by the local time JavaScript library and gets rewritten for whatever the time is for the browser. But what we do is, because we could for the life of us, we could not influence the Capybara browser in the way that we wanted to set it to have a different time zone. We basically ended up checking that the way that we're setting it up is correct. Yeah, and then we have a separate, you know, there are like unit tests in Jasmine for the, you know, the transformation that's supposed to take place, and we have no complete end-to-end test. And that was like after having sunk a lot of time into trying to get it work, and eventually saying, you know, we want to get this out. You know, we're having users who are continuing to be confused about when things are and when the times are. We need to kind of fix the problem for the users first, and you know, yeah, it then becomes an academic thing that we can come back to at any time. Could we, you know, write a better acceptance test for this? So for you, I mean, you know, it's partly what you're interested in. If you're interested and excited about getting that acceptance test working, and maybe you can have a bit of a breakthrough. I think the thing you're working on is slightly different from this one in that you're not trying to it's related, but you're not trying to change the time zone in the headless browser. You're just trying to set the time.
Yeah,
which we're able to do. I think it's simpler than this one, which we gave up on trying to write a full-blooded.
You were actually able to set the time and have it be the exact same time as the time you were setting.
I think we were just able to set the system time, and Capybara then, you know, when we would, but that's for the point of this JavaScript library, it would call the time, you know, in JavaScript, and the whatever the time that we'd set on the server was kind of like the system time on the server would be pulled across into the JavaScript environment.
Oh, okay. So,
but I think
so
you're trying to stub the calls on the server when it goes for the time, and make sure that the JavaScript also receives the same information, which you might find it easier to just set the system time.
Okay. So okay.
I mean, I guess let me go and have a look at. This is where RubyMine working again would be really useful, because I'd love to jump around. But so if we look at the features that worked on this, so this is the events features, and we've got probably show event. We've got some examples down the bottom. Show events information. There we go. We've got.
But when you say set the system time, that's like happening on an operating system level at that point.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, we've got all of these operations here, which is like, given the date is so and so, and let me check.
And that uses DeLorean, which stubs the Ruby time stuff.
Yes. So we've got step definitions, and then I have to like find within here. Find in folder. The date is, oh gosh, God, that's so annoying. Find in folder.
Well, it's gratifying that this was a kind of thing was as challenging to other people as it has been to me.
Yeah, yeah. I think you very much should not feel that the it's tempting to feel that, like, oh, if this is just troubling yourself due to like lack of skill or something. I think that's something. Right, yeah. So we're just. I'm not sure if I'm looking. Let me have a look here. It's a show event. This single was there. Edit past event, future event. There was, I think. and then of course, okay, here we go. Yeah, so this was the right. So this was the thing that we were specifically trying to look for here. You can see this is like it's looking for the user being in particular time zones.
Okay.
And that was the changes, and that was the thing that we could not set. We couldn't influence the time zone that the browser appeared in. The background here is, I guess, we're still using the DeLorean thing there, and
which doesn't affect JavaScript.
Which now that's interesting. You said that doesn't affect the JavaScript, because my memory is that did seem to be affected JavaScript, but maybe that's my memory is faulty, or that something else has changed since then.
Well, okay. So as I was saying before, the problem is it can accept for a single test. It sort of travels to a time in the DeLorean and then travels back.
Yes.
But you have to load the window when it's. Let's see. The JavaScript you can have the JavaScript look at the local time.
Yeah.
And if it's been stubbed and a window has been loaded after it's been stubbed, then the JavaScript can get the local time. But the problem is, every time you create one of those tests, you have to make sure that it sort of travels back after the test is over. And it's the problem is that
you have to make sure it travels back after the test is over. I mean, when the test is over, I mean, I guess are you saying like if you do that and then the test finishes and then the next headless browser Capybara thing does, it's still going to be stubbed out? Right,
which it will not. And so the thing is,
right,
like I was saying before, you have to set the time before the page loads.
Right.
In order for it to work for the server side stuff, but you have to set it after the page loads in order for it to work with JavaScript.
Right. But so I think can you see here the things that we did here is we're using this right rather than sticking code in the JavaScript code in the application.
Oh, yeah. Page.
So we do this like we execute these scripts on the. I'm not sure if this.
Yeah, I've tried that too. Let me think. Why didn't it work? I mean, I did a page execute script.
Yeah.
For that, but I think.
I'm on your branch here, so we could.
Yeah.
I mean, and I guess that's the thing is like if you're currently now working on this by yourself and you're trying out different things and then they're not working and then you're moving on.
Right.
So then we're relying on your memory.
Right,
of what did and didn't work in certain situations, and then it could have been maybe there was like with one particular but like ideally then all of those approaches would be different pull requests.
Yeah. Okay.
The different techniques, because we then end up in the situation of it's difficult to explore all of the different avenues that you went
down. That makes sense.
But where is the feature? Let's just quickly look at where is the feature that you are developing. It's in
events and then widget. The one, event countdown widget feature.
Event count. There we go. Event countdown widget feature. Okay, there we go. Right. Then so you've got the time travel step on there, and so you're setting the dates, kind of the DeLorean. So on the server, all queries to the date will return that. But you're saying that in the JavaScript environment, any query to the date will just return the current time.
Well, no. What I mean is the next step where it says I'm on the events index page goes and loads another page.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, it's a brand new JavaScript environment as far as Capybara is concerned. So then it goes, then it's finding the local time again.
Okay. But I mean, I would argue actually that is the simple solution to this to just not worry about it, because the situation that you're trying to test for is that when the event is long past, that it says the event is over.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
Like in this combination of setting the date at some point in the past and just allowing the JavaScript in the current page to check for like okay, this is the current time. Can you not actually write a test of the feature that doesn't stub the JavaScript time at all?
Yeah, that's definitely possible. I guess what I was doing, and it might have been a fool's errand, was to make sure that these acceptance tests tested
work
for the
other
current
situations.
behavior.
Yeah, so that there would be like, right, you were starting with, well, no, that's a very sensible. You're kind of like taking the legacy code and you're wrapping it in existing tests. But
That was the idea, yeah.
In the situation, right? So you've got the situation here, like you're on the events index page, yeah, and at the point that the events index page, but I noticed also that you don't have JavaScript enabled in any of them.
Oh, it's at the top there.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah. So JavaScript enabled, right? So we've got the issue that we've got the events index page, right? At the point it's going to be loaded, it's going to try and reach out to that, right? And okay, so with R1, and I looking at this, I have the feeling that this was like attempts to get it to work, but that they, yeah, I mean, I guess we maybe we have things, yeah. Oh. So yeah, so you've got this issue that you would like to be stubbing, like you could execute JavaScript on like at this point, but that would be in the logged in setup.
Yeah,
then,
it would be
like,
too early.
It would be too early.
It would load another window, and it
when
would go
you
back
load
to
this page, automatically the JavaScript in that page is just going to go bing bong boom and get the latest thing, right? And so in that context, you've got the yeah, we have to put stuff in the application that would,
Yeah.
or at least in that's maybe only there. It's only compiled in the test environment.
Well, that's the idea. I mean, the idea is that some JavaScript has to load up when that page loads up. And
right.
And the only thing I could find, the only place I was able to find to put it there were in the ERB templates, and then just in a script tag, which is inside the app. And that's just seemed like a very bad idea.
But did it actually work?
It worked.
Okay. But so then maybe we can go in through that angle. So will I be able to find those? Which file are they in? They're in the like events in
It was in the
layouts.
Yeah. Where was it? I think
layouts. I guess if we go and look at the pull request, we can see.
Yeah. Sorry.
So pull request, and then so there's JavaScripts. So you've ended up
head the head template. There it is.
Oh, okay, there we go. Right, but so could this not all go in, like, for example, the let's go and look at, like, in the job, like this
in assets, yeah,
right, like, and that could go, like, we could, like, you've got like lolex here,
right? Well, I actually tried that, although there's no proof at this point.
right, but we've got
what you were talking about before. I tried it.
Yeah, so we've got lolex here that's being called from here, right? I mean, and I guess lolex as a library probably shouldn't go in here; it should go in vendor.
Right, I mentioned that.
Don't worry about that. But yeah.
But
like, let's have a look. We've got here. Oh no, but this right. So the operation that you're doing here, this is just there. We're including lolex, and then right. This is just the code to get lolex to work, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And you're saying, like, you don't like this being in here in this template. This feels wrong.
Well, it's in the app.
Oh, yeah,
stuff that's specifically for exceptions testing, but it's part of the
right. But presumably here, like, we've got it so that you've got basically if DeLorean's defined, which in the production situation that gem won't be there, so this will be excluded from the production setup.
Right.
Yeah, and so then is that the only thing making you feel uncomfortable, that this code happens to be in the template?
Yeah.
Well, and I would say, yeah, I don't like looking at it now here. I mean, this little line could be pulled out, but basically to run lolex here, I mean, conceivably the lolex install that could be pulled into the application.js, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
you know, which you could argue would be slightly clear. But to be honest, like, looking at the length of the head, if this is what we need here, I wouldn't have to. No, I mean, it makes me uncomfortable anytime that we end up adjusting the application to make testing easy. And it seems like that's then dangerous, because maybe like the testing, what is being tested diverges from reality. However, many years of being kicked in the heads have led me ultimately to doing similar things. So we have, annoyingly, from my point of view, if we look at the subscriptions controller, because of the huge time sink that like doing acceptance testing on the payment framework is we have in here, if I can find it, we have test. There we go. Basically, that's the one here. Yeah, so like we've got
seeing whether it's the test environment.
Yeah, I mean we're checking for the test environment here because there's something Capybara won't do, and we've got another one in here. Yeah, like related to Stripe tokens to make the with the Stripe mock being referred to there to make all of the. So I mean, it's kind of one of those things where you kind of think like, oh well, it's important to have principles, and you know we shouldn't be doing this, that, and the other. At the same time, I think getting really good acceptance tests drives you to kind of extremes.
Okay, so I just thought, you know, it's not ideological pure because we're not testing an application that would work without this thing. You know, sort of we're adding a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not ideologically pure,
right?
And it's like, yeah. I'm uncomfortable with adding code purely to make the tests pass.
Yeah.
However, much as I, wanted to stick to my it's like with unlimited time, perhaps one could, maintain that ideological purity. However, if one wants to deliver features, to users and support the users, then I think at some point compromises have to be made, frustratingly.
Okay, well I think I just wanted to ask one question that I may not know the answer to, but other people with more experience might allow us not to have to do this, and that is there a way to configure the caching of assets such that I could at least remove this from the template and put it in the assets directory and have the JavaScript load every time when testing happens?
Yeah, and you were mentioning that before.
Yeah.
But so you're talking about caching. I guess what you're saying is that, I mean, if we do pull this into application.js, then it's going to be there for every test, and you only want it to be there for the tests where it's needed.
Yeah.
Right.
So the idea is, is there a way we could configure it such that something in the application, there's something that's in the integration test area of the of the assets directory, and it gets pulled in every time when we tell it to be, when we set the flag, but otherwise it doesn't ever get pulled in, and so it's not tainting anything except something inside this set aside area in the assets directory. I don't know if that's any better. It was just something.
Yeah, it's a nice idea. I mean, I guess I immediately don't I couldn't tell you about when we run in the Rails test environment what happens, what's the policy for application.js.
I spent some time looking into it and seeing if there was an easy answer, but it doesn't seem to me. People say, well, you can either turn caching off or not, and caching was already off. So
so caching is off, and that means that basically it's not compiling it into a single application.js. It's just lots of separate files.
Right, but it doesn't mean it's pulling. It doesn't mean you can configure it to pull in certain assets every single time you load a page.
Yeah, and I guess it would seem to me that that's probably like if you have it such that you're. I mean, well. It's funny because I would have thought like you're doing this operation on the like I would have thought you could have an EJS file where you had a similar operation there, and then you could basically give it a flag. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the JavaScript would be generated kind of on the fly, but adjusted for what you want to.
Well, do you see the integration? Look in the integration directory there in assets. That's something that's also new. Do you see that?
Yeah. Okay.
And is that what you're talking about?
I mean, it's conceivably, JS.erb. Yeah, that's the kind of thing. I mean, I would have.
But it didn't work.
No.
I left that in there specifically so that it would be something that could be looked at.
I mean, I think I think what you want in that context is like EJS, right? You want so I mean, I may be a bit out of date there.
Okay.
We're on Rails 5, but I think if you've got EJS, then I mean we've got let's see, is this actually an active gem?
Okay.
No, it's I mean my knowledge there is probably what if we have can we have dynamically compiled JavaScript in Rails? Yeah, I mean it seems like it should be possible to do that.
Okay.
Again, I would lean heavily on the side of can we get something and deliver it, into production and working, and create another ticket for can we improve on this method of testing? Do you know what I mean?
All right. The other thing I was worried about is putting specific acceptance test stuff in an actual template in the app just an unacceptable misstep or not, because that was the only way I could get it to work. I'm kind of glad to know that it isn't. I still am uncomfortable with it.
No, and I continue to be uncomfortable with it. But I guess from my point of view, for the system as a whole, I'm more uncomfortable with users encountering misleading information about the state of the site. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
And so I would tend to put the usability of the system as a higher priority than the pure cleanliness of the purity of the testing framework.
Okay.
I mean, in as much as I've had to make compromises like that in the past, which are frustrating, and of course, it's very possible that the different compromises that I've had to make are ones that will turn around and bite me / us in the future. And I guess that's partly the the important thing is to be aware of the compromises, communicating with the team, creating new tickets that outline the compromises and say, this is a refactoring project. If somebody's interested in taking it on, here's how we could improve this. I think it seems vanishingly impossible to create like a perfect, pure system. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. All right. Well, that effectively removes my block then.
Yay! Good show. All right. Nick will have to go. Bill and Aaron stayed around. Any thoughts or comments on that? Maybe it was completely incomprehensible what Bill and I were going on about. No, Ben and I.
I'm just thinking, aren't we sometimes over testing?
Well, absolutely. That's the danger. Absolutely. It does seem deeply ironic if you could deliver a feature in X time, if you then spend 10x or even 100x amount of time getting the testing set up, particularly if that feature is then one that's going to be removed subsequently. Yeah, and then there are different philosophies about that.
I guess it's just a matter of experience letting you know when you're over testing and when you're not. Because I mean, you read a lot about developers who are like, "Oh, I'm not going to bother testing this. What a hassle!
Right.
This is such an easy little fix. I'm not going to." And then it's like, "Oh, well, that's not good." So it's just a matter of sort of, I guess, gaining the experience as to how far you need to go, or is it sort of the ratio? Like, is 10x too much, but 3x isn't too much? Like,
well, and I think it then depends upon the feature in the system that you're working on.
Yeah.
In that, is this system just a toy system that only ever one or two people are going to use? Is it actually a high load system where a lot of people are using it, and when it fails, there'll be a lot of angry people? I mean, you can just as easily go too far in the direction with not testing anything and then pushing things out and then having horrible breakages. So it's kind of, but it's almost this impossible future prediction thing. Which are the small changes that would be just get away with fine and you can push out, and which are the ones where a sensible level of testing is appropriate. I mean, and there comes in this thing of it's the outside in acceptance tests versus the unit tests, and that's why some people it's much easier to write unit tests.
Yeah.
And so some people will actively say, yeah, lots of unit tests, some integration tests. I'm not going to bother with acceptance tests because of these challenges that we're talking about now. So other people say, but then you build these kind of monstrosities where all the tests are passing. But I don't know if you've seen that image of like the Titanic with the unit tests passing. Have you seen
Yeah.
where you can have lots and lots of wonderful individual. There goes. It's like lots of passing unit tests.
Yeah,
but the whole thing going down. But this is potentially misleading in that just because you had, maybe if you had said like, let's have rigorous acceptance tests for the entire thing, the ship would never have launched. And then maybe you say that that's a good thing. But then the people who are paying you to like launch the ship are not going to be happy. So
yeah,
there is you can't win basically. You just refine your sense of when is the right time to compromise.
It's just a matter of experience, improving your intuition about when to do these things and when not. Maybe.
Yeah, I think so. All right. Yeah, great to see you all. We've got the Agile Ventures community meeting coming up in a moment. Maybe see some of you there. I can certainly understand if you've had enough of meetings for one day. We are going to do a little award of volunteer contribution of the week, or from last week. But yeah, great to see you all, and do stay in touch with Slack. Feel free to jump into any Scrum, Martin Fowler, Kent Beck anytime to sort of check in and ask for help and support. Or there's always Slack. Otherwise, good luck, and I'll catch you all next week.
Thanks very much, everyone.
All right, thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. And I guess I'll mention it in Slack.